Hello guys and welcome to today's daily puzzle. You can't block this. Let's get right to it. So what do I see? Well, I see that we have the puzzle title and that's the hardest piece to block is the knight. On top of that, I do notice that we have two knights, one being able to deliver a check on the king. Now, sadly though, we can't simply move our knight over here since they do have the queen defending that. Now, we might have some ways to prevent them from using their queen. The first one being to use our bishop to deliver a check, forcing them to do something about that bishop, as they could also move over, but then we have discovered checks around the corner. So instead, they are forced to do something about the bishop at first. Now, sadly though, they do have a plethora of ways to deal with that bishop. First of all, they can simply use their pawn to capture, or alternatively, they can use their knight to capture. I assume they will be using their knight to capture our bishop at that point, because that same knight is also preventing anything we might be able to do with these rooks, as that knight has those covered. On top of that, that knight will also cover this knight of ours. As such, we can't do anything with the bishop that can't be countered. But perhaps we have something else, because as I just mentioned, the problem is that this knight can't get over here. And on top of that, we do have this battery going on over here with our rooks, but that currently is being blocked by this knight. Now, what if I told you that both of those issues can be resolved with one move? If we first bring our knight over here, then no, we don't give any checks, but we do threaten this important knight of theirs, whilst also inviting them to capture that knight, because if they don't, well, then we can simply bring our rook in. Sure, they can capture once, but our second rook can then capture back under cover of that knight to deliver checkmate, since the king's escapes will be covered by our rook and this pawn over here. As such, I do think this is the best first move we have, but the question is, what piece do they use to counter that knight? Well, they decide to not counter the knight, but instead counter the battery that would deliver checkmate. But by doing so, they have left themselves vulnerable to another attack, because, well, this knight is currently safe if we can deliver a check because it is covered by our bishop, meaning that we can easily now bring this knight in, not only creating a fork between the rook and king, but even more so delivering checkmate, as this knight has this square covered, the knight over here would have the king covered, and the pawn will still have the exits covered. As such, that's checkmate. So let's put it all into practice and go for the first move, which we just did. So our second move will be the final one, being our knight over here. There we go. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and hopefully see you next time. Bye.